Once again, Doctor.
We reconvened outside of the canopy of the trees because they were fucking loud as shit.
Yeah, because there'd be times you're talking and all I can hear is... So, I should be able to cut the background noise out.
If not, who cares? Fuck it. You gotta listen to some trees blowing.
Hey, it was really comfortable.
Yeah.
Nice shade, nice breeze.
Nice breeze.
Almost.
Fish was like rolling around in the dirt, just loving life.
He was just straight chilling.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Hans Holzer.
Hans Holzer.
Holzer. So it's read as Holzer, but I guess it's pronounced Holzer.
Holzer?
Like with a T?
Holzer.
Holzer. The Ludowaffen.
Hans Holzer. If you don't know who Hans Holzer is, then you're probably pretty much like us. We didn't really know a whole lot about Hans Holzer before.
Which is strange.
Yeah.
As in-depth as we are into everything paranormal, that we did not know who Hans Holzer was. And
I think it's kind of a common thing that a lot of people, I mean, there are a lot of people that do know who he is and his whole kind of backstory, but I think that a lot of people that are interested in this whole subject have never heard of him like us. So the first time I heard about him was the first time I went to Phenomenon. David Schrader was there, and he's the host or the main guy in a TV ghost hunting paranormal show called the Holzer Files. So he was giving a talk there and was talking about a lot of interesting things and talking about the show that he has on the Travel Channel or Discovery, whatever it is, History Channel. And I was like, how the fuck do I not know what the Holzer Files are? Like, I've never seen this show before. And so, like, hearing him give a speech, I went back to the Airbnb and, like, watched an episode. And I was like, oh, this show is actually really good. But it was on Amazon Prime, and there was only, like, 1 or 2 episodes I could watch. And kind of forgot about it until last year when we went, and he was there again, and I was like, fuck, I forgot about that show. And so I watched a few episodes then, and then they just released it on Roku TV, like both seasons, and so I was able to kind of binge watch all of them. And it's a good show, and it goes through lots of cases that Holzer himself worked on. So Holzer was a kind of the grandfather of paranormal ghost hunting, if you will, as people do it today.
Yeah. I was also shocked when we were at Phenomenon this last time and we're watching the Holzer Files panel with Dave Schrader and Cindy and Shane. And I'm like, who the fuck are they even talking about? So I pull out my phone and I'm doing a Google search, and I find myself reading more and more when I should be paying attention to the panel, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll look it up later. And so I write down the name in my book, and I ended up reading more about him. And then when you said, we should do this topic, I was like, you know what? Yeah. So I got even deeper into his lore. It's kind of funny because, I was telling you the other day, we almost had like subcategories we were going into. Mm-hmm. And this kind of started a new one for me of the kind of figureheads in paranormal investigation. And this is just like the first one.
Yeah.
Which, appropriately so, he's, the father of American ghost hunting. He's not the first, but he's the first one in America to make it kind of mainstream.
Yeah.
Very interesting guy. I don't want to delve too much into his backstory because every fucking podcast you listen to, they'll tell you he was born in Austria. They immigrated to America because of, Nazis and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's fair to skip quite a bit of that. You could listen to literally anybody else's podcast about it. I find myself more intrigued on his methodology. Mm-hmm. So I think we should focus more on that.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was born in Austria.
You got me on that one.
He was an educated guy. He studied archaeology and then kind of got into psychology, and then got allegedly a PhD in parapsychology, which was his main interest. Like, growing up, he was very interested in the paranormal side, and so he kind of leaned into that as he got older. So his method was pretty much, he would go into a haunted location, supposed haunted location, and bring with him high tech at the time, but like very rudimentary things, just like a recorder, a recording device, and then he would bring a trans medium, which has how he would communicate with the spirits in a place.
And a Polaroid camera. He was devout on a Polaroid camera because of the film system it used and the way it would produce an image instantly, that it was much harder to fake.
Yeah.
Because especially film plates and film itself could be manipulated to look like things that they were not. Mm-hmm. But a Polaroid was much less valuable. He did not trust scientific measuring devices for things that measured electricity or temperature because he claimed they were too fallible.
Which is kind of, it almost is like, he wants to be the most scientific he can, so he's using less scientific methods. But there are a lot simpler methods. But you have to believe in what he's talking about to kind of go along with the story. Of course, he did put out a lot of stuff that really seemed to be true or accurate with the use of his mediums.
Yeah, I mean, he was so much the father of American ghost hunting that in 1963 he put out the book The Ghost Hunter, which many paranormal investigation teams treat as like their go-to handbook for paranormal investigation. But he kept it very, very simple. And that's where I struggle with his methodology of, you want it to be the most scientific, but you're using a medium.
Yeah.
Not a scientific instrument by any stretch. Because people are themselves fallible.
Yeah.
Those mediums could have just been making this shit up the whole time. Yeah. But I do admire that he was very staunch, and this is how I do it, and these are the results I get. But his results seem to be very accurate.
Yeah. And I think it was because he's a witch.
Well, it was said, and I didn't verify it with any other sources, but on one podcast I listened to, they said he was never religious until later in life he became a Wiccan, which I'm going to give him a lot of credit for, because I've said many times I think the religion that is the closest is Wiccan, and that's just because of their like tagline, and it harm none, do what ye will. And Wiccans believe in the male and the female energy, so the god and the goddess, harmonics with nature, things like that. Very basic, rudimentary stuff that every human should believe in.
Yeah.
So I got to give him credibility there.
I mean, even religions, like most of the religions have the same like principles of love thy neighbor, or do unto others as you would have done to you. So I mean, it's the same principle.
Yeah.
Just said by witches.
Well, and Wiccan is way cooler than Catholic. Yeah. Just the word itself is like Wiccan.
Wiccan, dude.
Bro, that's so Wiccan. Speaking of Wiccan, I'm wearing my like Wiccan Ghost Hunter shirt. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah,
super tight. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was pretty interesting that he himself was a practicing Wiccan, supposedly, by what people have said. So he was Jewish when his family was Jewish. That's why they left Austria during World War II. Later on became Wiccan. But I think it was because of the beliefs of like the enduring human spirit in everything. Like, and that's what he believed, was that all ghosts are human spirits. There's no such thing as evil spirits or angels or any of that stuff.
He devoutly was against demons.
Right. So he believed that it was all these ghost hauntings were because of human spirits that were kind of trapped in this existence because they either didn't know where they were supposed to go, or they had some lingering emotional attachment to something that happened and they couldn't get past that when they died. And so him and his medium would go in places, and a lot of times he would try to help these spirits out and help move these spirits along to the next phase of what was to come. And he also had a very interesting belief in that as well. Did you get into that at all?
Yeah. I didn't delve super deep into it, but I really love the premise that he would go in not just to investigate or prove existence of ghosts. He went in with intention. He was the first like ghost hunter to use the term intention, but his intention was always to help.
Yeah.
And I love that because it helped me really realign my own perception about ghost hunting, which was his preferred term. He hated paranormal and he hated supernatural as terms. He preferred ghost hunting.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm still kind of on the fence about, because I prefer paranormal investigation. We don't really know what it is until you investigate it.
Yeah, I do too, but I kind of think that the reason why he didn't like the term paranormal is because he believed it should be normal.
Yeah.
Which I believe that too, because it's few and far between people that haven't ever had an experience that they would term paranormal. So if something is happening that 95% of the population on the world is experiencing, how is that not normal?
Exactly.
Just like I have to take a piss today, everybody's going to have to take a piss. That's normal.
Yeah. Same with the term supernatural. Instead of it being supernatural, it's just natural.
Yeah.
Because if the vast majority of us are having that experience, it's natural.
Yeah.
And it is part of nature. It's part of the process of dying and moving beyond, which we know very little about, but we all are going to die. Yeah. Our spirit is going to move on in some shape or form. Unless you're one of those like staunch atheists that believes it's just lights out, which I feel sorry for you. Open your pineal gland, bro.
Yeah. You gotta open up your pineal gland and let that sauce flow. Yeah, I mean, even Albert Einstein said that energy can't be
created nor destroyed.
It's just transferred from one thing to another. So when you die, it's not like you just lights out. It's just you're transferring into a different. And that's what Hans Holzer believed, is that when you're born with two bodies, your spirit body and your physical body. And when you die, the physical body dies, but you just step out of that in the same form. You're not just some mist like floating around, but you're just the same form as you were when you had your physical body. You're just not a physical thing anymore. You're an energy, but you're not like a tangible physical object.
Which is awesome when you think about how many different like forms of history there are who have the same representation.
Yeah.
You know, with like Hinduism, it's nirvana. Or with like the Akashic records, you have an ethereal body that you were born into well before you were born into your physical body. And it's so crazy. It's just like the flood things. Like, it's in every version of history.
Yeah.
Same thing with your ethereal body and your physical body.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And you can't tell the same story over and over without it being at least somewhat true.
Right. There's got to be some truth inside of that. And so, yeah, he believed that most people actually have this capacity to be able to connect with the other side, as he actually coined the term the other side. So he thought that most people were able to in some capacity tap into this other realm and either see things or hear things or experience things that were not in this physical realm. But other people, such as mediums and practicing mediums, were able to pretty much kind of just poke their head out of their physical body into that ether and kind of pick up a lot of the other stuff that's going on at all times. He says that in that realm there is no time as we know it, and so they're able to poke their head out and see what all the things that are happening at all times in this area that they're at, whatever. So I mean, that's pretty interesting in itself. So they're able to connect with people who have, all the people who have ever kind of been attached to that place or might be still attached to that place.
Which is a science in and of itself, quantum superposition.
Yeah.
Which ties back into trying to be the most scientific you can be, you know, and I love that. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah. But that, I mean, even that wasn't really even a theory back then when he was first starting this. So, I mean, looking at it from that sense, he's talking about a science, but being considered a pseudoscientist in studying the paranormal and parapsychology aspect of the human existence, I guess.
See, and that's where I have a problem with the term pseudoscience, is because pseudoscience is just not mainstream science, is really all it means.
Yeah.
But really, that's because it's science that hasn't been proven yet.
Right.
And to be proven, it has to have repeatability. But how often do you get repeatability with paranormal events like ghosts? You just don't. So that makes it hard to prove it. The other problem I have is that pseudoscience's case is not helped by a lot of people who do paranormal investigations now, and they rely on just what they've seen somebody else do.
Yeah.
There's no methodology. You're not using the actual scientific method to gain evidence or a result. They're just doing it because, oh, I saw this guy on YouTube. He used an EMF detector and got a weird reading. Has to be a ghost. There's nothing behind it that actually has real comprehensible data.
Yeah. It also you have to kind of take into the consideration that science in itself is just the pursuit of truth. So science is always changing and should always be changing because you're learning and discovering new things every day. You should be. Like, if you look at the science that was being performed in the 1700s, and if we just stopped, okay, we understand it now, we don't have to look at it anymore.
Yeah.
How stupid would we be still? I mean, we're still pretty stupid, but like less so than in the 1700s, I think, in some capacities.
I agree. And it's like Travis Taylor had talked about at Phenomicon, that science has become very bottlenecked, that if it's not quantifiable, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist, it's not real. And that we're taking out all the other aspects that don't fit the narrative of science, you know, mysticism or religion or whatever it is that you need to inject into it. We're taking these things out because we can't measure them accordingly. And his take on science is the same take I've always had on science. Science needs to be fucking rock and roll. I mean, history is history. Yes, it changes a little bit, but science should be ever changing.
Yeah.
Science should be punk rock to challenge everything. Yeah. Like he said, science does not include the word fringe. It just doesn't. Science never says you can't investigate this topic. Science never says this can't be real because you can't measure it.
Yeah.
And I fucking love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Hans Holzer comes along and using a transmedium wasn't a new thing. It was kind of almost a revamp of what was happening in the turn of the century with the seances and mediums that they were.
He was super popular in England at the time.
Yeah, and you know, it was kind of a parlor game type thing that people would do here in the United States. Harry Houdini and a lot of the people in New York and California were doing it at the turn of the century. they would have a party and have a seance and contact the dead. And a lot of these people, as in anything that starts becoming popular, you get people who see it as a way to make money.
Fucking charlatans.
Shysters that, you know, are just trying to take advantage of people who want to maybe talk to their husband that died of cholera or whatever it is. But so he was, you know, he had a few different trance mediums. Trance medium means this person goes to a trance and then they kind of speak for the spirit that is supposedly there. And he had a few different trance mediums that he would kind of go around with and use to conduct his seance or his investigations. If you ever watched the show, the Holzer Files, they kind of do. They have the same premise. They're kind of going off of his formula. Of course, they've updated it to use tools that we have now. I don't know how much that is for the viewers or for just to try to take measurements of what's going on, because I do believe that if spirits are an energy, that energy might be able to be recorded by, you know, EMF detectors.
100%.
You know, different devices that you have, recording devices, cameras possibly. So I do believe that, you know, they have a place, and they could potentially validate if something is out of the ordinary in a place when you're having, if you see a ghost and all of a sudden the temperature drops by 10 degrees, why? You know, there's got to be a correlation.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I kind of vehemently disagree with him on, is his lack of using measurement devices, tech, gadgetry, whatever you want to call it. Granted, he was one person, and then with the medium is two people, and he's already doing, you know, the history aspect of it and doing the recording and asking questions and things like that. So I get it's difficult to try to wear all the hats at the same time.
Yeah.
But I disagree because, like you said, there has to be some kind of correlation between the metaphysical and the physical. Mm-hmm. And you need tools to measure that. I mean, if you didn't, it's because we could see it. If we could see it, we wouldn't need to try to prove it anymore.
That's I kind of had the same frustration when I first started listening to a lot of the stuff about him. And then it seems like to me, and he said this, there was a few recordings of him, because he died in like 2009. Mm-hmm. So he was fairly recent. I mean, 10 years, 15 years ago he passed away, but he lived a long life and was able to see a transformation of all these things. And he said in a few of them that he was never trying to prove anything. So he wasn't trying to prove the existence of these spirits. He was merely just trying to capture and help these spirits. He didn't really care about, he believed it wholeheartedly, so he wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. So he didn't care if people believed him or not. Yeah. Really. And so he was just putting the stuff out there so people could look at it. And so all that he needed to do, what he was trying to do was this medium, and he was like, if you listen to his tapes, most of his stuff, it's not like the typical, what's your name, what are you doing here, when did you live here? He asks questions like, who is the president, how come you're stuck, do you know, have you reached out to your family, trying to help these spirits move past it, almost doing like a therapy session with a spirit. Yeah. That's kind of more along the vein that he was working in, which is like, made me understand, okay, yeah, he's not actually trying to prove that ghosts are there. He knows that they're there. He's trying to figure out what the next step is already.
And I love that aspect, that it wasn't just the basic who are you, how did you die thing, because for one, you're taking out the front load of it, because he was the historian. He would conduct these interviews and things like that. He already knew those answers. But if he went in cold and asked those questions, you know, it might not be what you think it is. Or, you know, if the medium was front loaded with information, which he never did, just take them in cold and have them do their thing, it's easier to fake.
Yeah.
If you're getting confirmation bias from the spirit as what you got from the history of it.
Yeah.
So that is the aspect of it I respect the most, is the medium comes in with no information.
Right.
Knows nothing, none of the history, none of the events that have taken place. Just come in and do your reading.
Yeah.
And they replicate that on the Holzer files with Cindy Kaza. And it is really cool. I mean, even could they be faking it? Possibly. I don't believe they are. But when Dave Schrader does like the interviews with people, or does like the history aspect with Alexandra and the other guy, I don't know his name, but they talk about all these things and talk about the history and name names. And then Cindy comes in and does these readings. She's like, I'm picking up a Jeff. Does that sound familiar? A Jeff? And he's like, holy shit, but doesn't tell her right away what it is.
Yeah.
They follow up with it later, and then they're like,
there's even some things where she'll pick up a name, and then they're like, yeah, there's no name in the Holzer file. What it is they're on the show. So Hans Holzer had hundreds of cases that he worked on, and so what they're doing is basically going back to some of his most notorious cases and revisiting that file and seeing if it's still active, and seeing if they can kind of get some more information on what it is that's taking place there. So sometimes they'll have the file and they're looking at the file, and she'll say a name that doesn't have anything to do with the file. So they're like, oh, that's something different. And then they'll go and talk to a historian, and then the historian will bring up a name, and it'll usually match a name that she's brought up without having, it's not in the file, it's just brought up there on the spot, and they're all kind of mystified by it, which is kind of cool if it's real.
and it seems pretty genuine to me.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after hearing Cindy Kaza talk, like, to me, she's the real deal.
Yeah.
If she's lying, she's really good at it.
Yeah.
But I don't think she is. I think she's genuinely a medium, which is great. I also do love on the show when they have Shane go in and do baseline readings with the tech.
Yeah.
To kind of understand, like, how, you know, how the EMF is, how the static field is, all this other stuff, before they bring the medium in, that's going to excite the place.
Yeah.
And then you're getting readings during the event. So you have a juxtaposition of this is before and then this is during.
Right.
And you always see some kind of spikes and things like that during the happening, as opposed to before when they did the baseline and there was nothing.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Super cool. So yeah, I mean, they're basically just kind of taking Hans Holzer's files and then taking it a step further to see if they can kind of either corroborate or solve this mystery that's been happening, whatever. I don't know if you can solve it or not, but
How many of the actual Holzer files recordings have you listened to?
there was a few on one of the YouTube show things that I watch, but mostly just from the show.
Yeah, it's mostly you get the clips from the show. I was able to find 2 of them that I listened to mostly in depth. One of them's like fucking 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And another one I listened to was like 45 minutes. They are haunting as fuck.
Yeah.
When the Miss Meyer, I think her name is Edith Meyer, Ethel Meyer, when she starts going into her trance and talking, and the way I understand that to work is that the spirit is talking through her, so it's her voice, but their inflection. And it's, if she was an actor, she's a fucking good one, because there was times she'd be doing her thing and it's like, this is really haunting to me.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to send me those. I'd like to.
Yeah, I'll have to find them again. I'm sure they're in my YouTube history, but Oh,
They're kind of funny, like on the clips.
when they played the clip without context, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
When you listen to the whole thing, like 2 minutes into it, you're sucked. You're in. And then you forget about like the silliness of it. But when they play some of the clips on the show, you're like, is she having an orgasm?
Yeah.
Hans is over there just, tell me what you got, Ethel.
Like, should I be jerking off too? Again?
Fuck. I'm going to get raw by the end of this.
Yeah, so some of the interesting things that he believed. So I did watch a presentation that actually 2 different presentations that he did himself, kind of explaining his theory of what he believed. So he believed that when you pass away, you step out of this physical realm, and there's like 7 levels of being a spirit or whatever. First level is kind of darkness, which would be represented by using the word hell, I guess. But that's mostly people who just either those are the ghosts that you see or experience. And it's mostly people who had an emotional attachment or something traumatic that happened to them, or it's a fragment of their personality that's kind of almost imprinted, but it's still conscious.
See, I give that a lot of credibility, because if you think about if there's these 7 layers you have to go through and you're stuck in the first one, part of you is being pulled into the next, but part of you is still here.
Right.
Which is why a lot of these ghosts are very, like you said, fragmented, where they have access to certain memories, but not knowledge of things that are currently happening.
Yeah.
So I buy into that one.
Yeah. There, some of the things that he would ask is like, who's the president of the United States? And they would tell the name of the president of the United States, and it'd be like from 50 or 60 years ago.
Yeah, I remember one of them was Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah. And so that's how he would kind of establish a timeline of where the spirit is coming from. But even Cindy Kaza talked about that in the panel that they did, was that her idea was that when something fragments in your life, or something traumatic happens in your life, like say you witness somebody being murdered, or you witness some atrocity happening, your psyche kind of fractures, and part of that, if you're never able to heal from that, part of that fracture stays in that area and it's imprinted in that kind of, it's still part of the spirit, but that spirit has been broken off and kind of can't move past that until they realize and move through that trauma.
Well, the same thing happens in real life. You go through a traumatic event, it almost becomes a split in your timeline, where the you before that event no longer exists. Now there's only the you post that event.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think anyway.
So if you did encounter a splinter that happened at this point, they wouldn't remember anything that happened beyond that, like
Yeah.
in that person's life or whatever. So I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. It's like, oh yeah, that's
Well, I mean,
interesting.
you see some of these paranormal encounters with spirits or ghosts, whatever you want to call them. They can only go back to that moment of that trauma, like, oh, he chased me with an axe, or he had a gun, or whatever. You never hear a ghost talk about, one time when I was 5, we had a great day at the lake, or I had the best apple pie, or whatever. My grandma would read me stories. They don't talk about that. They talk about the moment of trauma.
Yeah.
And that's where they're stuck, and they're reliving that moment over and over. And in my mind, there's just not enough time to outlive that trauma.
Yeah.
And that's why they're stuck there repeating it.
Yeah. So that's the first level, is where you get ghosts, and they're kind of these spirits that are stuck in the darkness. And so a lot of times they'll stay in a place that's familiar with them because they don't know how to move past this darkness realm where they're stuck in. And so his theory is that if you can contact these spirits, you can help them reach out to their loved ones and be pulled back to where they should be, which is the second level of being a spirit, which is at that point you kind of are assigned a task, and so it's usually, that's where you get like guardian angels and like helpful spirits, as people call them. Like, people describe them as angels, guardian angels, or whatever. And then once you move past that, you go to the third stage, which is groups of spirit beings, light beings, that are working on the betterment of the human existence. And then kind of beyond that goes into the management portion of this realm. And then, but at any point, supposedly you can kind of decide if you want to go back and be reincarnated and live another life. But in order to do that, you have to go through the pool of
forgetfulness.
And so that kind of mostly erases the memory of your past life or whatever. I mean, interesting, very interesting theory.
Very cool. There's a lot there that I believe in. There's some that I'm kind of like, could it be? I don't know. I don't like the idea of you die and you still have to go to work.
Yeah. Man, dude.
Fuck.
Kind of like that movie Ripped.
Oh, RIPD? Yeah. Yeah, you die and you become a ghost cop.
Yeah.
Which, I'm good. As for the whole reincarnation thing, would you come back?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably. If I was able to see what was going on, like if I died in like crossing the plains as a pioneer or something, like in some shitty timeline, yeah, I'd probably come back and experience it the better time. But I don't know.
You like died as a Civil War soldier, but you're born again in the 90s, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is actually kind of tight. I don't think I would.
Yeah, it depends on. If I got there and was like, whoa, I'm really fucking stupid, I should go back there and learn some more shit, then yeah, possibly.
I think it really depends on if when I die, do all my questions get answered.
Yeah.
Like, if all my questions get answered, I don't need to fucking go back. But if I die and there's like God or whatever, and he's like, you can have the answers, but you have to go back into this specific lifetime. Oh, okay. I'll go be an autistic kid. That was a reference to the autistic or the telepathy tapes. It's not a stab.
No, that was like I want the power.
I want the power. I want the answers. So I think we got to talk about one very culturally significant thing that Hans Holzer is responsible for indirectly. Do you know what I'm about to say?
Start with an A?
No.
Oh.
But we do have to talk about that.
Okay.
So Dan Aykroyd was a big fan of Hans Holzer.
Yeah.
In fact, he was the inspiration for Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. The movie.
The movie, 1984. Beautiful movie. I actually...
The best ghost hunting movie of all time.
By far and away.
Beautiful movie.
I actually watched the new Conjuring movie, The Last Rites, and they make a reference to Ghostbusters in the movie.
Really?
Which is probably the best part of the movie.
When did that movie come out?
Just last week.
Oh.
But yeah, like Ed and Lorraine Warren go to this house and they're like, you guys are the ghost hunters, right? And they're like, yeah. They're like, oh, like Ghostbusters, the movie. No, not like that. Who are you going to call? And they're just like giving Ed and Lorraine shit.
Like that, but a little more rapey.
But a little bit more rapey. Yeah, that's Ed and Lorraine Warren are going to get an episode for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so he was the inspiration for that in a bunch of different ways. Because for one, in the beginning of the movie, the guys from Ghostbusters they're professors at Columbia University, where Holzer got his doctorate.
Yeah.
Holzer, Holzer, and then the main villain is Gozer. And even in the 2016 remake, I put this one together myself. It's not on any other podcast. In 2016, the female reboot, one of the characters' name is Holtzman, Holtzman. So, a very important figurehead.
Yeah. They're just dancing around that.
Yeah.
Copyright issues, probably.
For sure. Or, they just didn't want to pay the Holzer family any money, I guess. But yeah, very interesting, culturally significant movie all the way around. I don't know anybody who's seen Ghostbusters who doesn't love that movie.
Yeah, I don't think I want to know those people.
They're not my friends, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, another very significant thing that most people would know about or know of is the Amityville case. It's one of his cases that he worked on, and he wrote a book about it, which was the premise of the second Amityville movie.
Which there's some controversy about.
Yeah.
Where he was very devout that they were in contact with, and I'm not even going to try to say the name of the tribe because I'm going to get him mixed up, but he was very specific that they were in contact with this specific chief of this specific tribe because the house was built on Indian burial ground. But the historians say that tribe was never even in the area.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to just give credence because there's a lot about the spiritual realm we don't know about. We don't know about the movement of these tribes, really. A lot of it's, we're just stabbing in the dark and calling it history. Let's be real.
Yeah.
A lot of the spiritual aspects, we don't know how spirits move. We don't know if they relocate. We don't know any of that. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and give him credit and say he was probably legit. Now, there's a lot of controversy around Amityville as it is, where I believe it was George Lutz, I think his wife's name was Nancy, where they had some weird things happening, and then they got a hold of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they just concocted this story over a few bottles of wine. That one I'll say is probably true, that they just concocted the story.
Yeah.
So Amityville has a lot of controversy in and of itself, but the fact that he was there first, I'm going to give him more credibility.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a huge difference in what he was doing and what Ed and Lorraine Warren were doing. They were they were all kind of doing the same thing, where they were making a living off of the paranormal stuff, which, I mean, Holzer was kind of more writing books. I mean, he wrote like 140 different books about mostly supernatural stuff, ghosts and UFOs. He even wrote books about veganism. He was a vegan.
Yeah, he had a couple about like consciousness and vibration and things like that. He was a pretty well-versed guy.
Yeah, he would be on the Dave-inci code, I'm sure.
Oh, he would get an honorary doctorate.
Yeah.
It'd be his third one. Honestly, he'd probably just be like, you guys that are fucking stupid. However an Austrian accent goes, I don't know. So, you guys are fucking stupid. That's a real Austrian.
That's a real Austrian. Super Austrian.
The Austrian oak.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Ed and Lorraine, going through their history, and of course, we're going to talk about them in another episode, but like, they were making a bunch of shit up, and most of the accounts of interactions with them is they would show up for a few hours and then all of a sudden have this huge tale to tell about it and sell books and movie deals and shit about it.
That's in the movie, it's like their retirement, their last case. And then they're like, we're going to finally sit down and write this book. You motherfuckers have been writing books since the 70s.
Yeah.
And this movie takes place in the mid 80s. Like, who are you trying to fool? I have Google.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very, very interesting guy. You can definitely look up, like I said, he wrote over 140 different books about different cases, different genres of paranormal activity. He even wrote screenplays and plays.
Mm-hmm. That was his early interest, was to be a playwright.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, but at the same time, it does cast a little shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
Because you're a storyteller. But at the same time, if you can discredit anybody who writes fiction as well as something scientific, you would have to throw Travis Taylor out too.
True.
Because he's wrote fiction books.
True.
And that guy could tell me the moon was made out of cheese, and I'd be like, fucking moon's made out of cheese,
Yeah,
dog.
it is. What kind? I think it's Swiss.
Could be. Maybe Gouda. It has
Gouda.
It has a brie color though.
Yeah.
The outside of brie does look like the face of the moon.
It does.
Did we just solve that? No, I don't think we did.
Maybe like just a conglomerate of feta.
I dig that.
You know.
With a big metal sphere in the middle.
Yeah. That's got aliens living on the inside.
Reptiles.
Reptilians.
So what do you think is the most valuable contribution he made to paranormal investigation?
I think putting it in the public eye the way that he did, because even though like we didn't ever hear about him until pretty recently, a lot of people did. I mean, he was on numerous TV shows. He was a consultant for the Leonard Nimoy series. What was that show?
I heard the fucking name of it 80 times yesterday, and I can't recall it.
Yeah, he was on Unsolved Mysteries.
He was on Coast to Coast.
Coast to Coast. He was out there, you know, and I think that was the inspiration that a lot of people took from and I grew up watching all these shows, and for me, definitely
In Search of,
yeah. And so it's definitely his impact on the collective consciousness to be open to the realm of the possibility of the paranormal or the supernatural, but we're not supposed to say those words.
no.
That's the only vernacular that we have.
He didn't like those words. I like those words.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
So yeah, I think that just him being kind of somebody to stand up and really talk about these things in a public setting, because before it seemed like if you came out and said these things, you were looked at as crazy. Just like the UFO stuff is becoming more of a mainstream thing to be able to talk about now in a scientific setting.
Yeah.
It's becoming more normalized. I think that he was on the forefront of that, putting it in the public domain.
I 100% agree that's number one. I will add to that, putting it in the public eye in a meaningful way, not taking the Ed and Lorraine approach of concocting stories to sell books and...
You mean Zach Bagans' way?
Yeah, Zach Bagans' way, same thing. I think the second most important thing, because I agree that's number one, but the second most important thing is setting good intentions on why you're doing it and how you're doing it. Not going in to agitate, stir up, or just get a scare factor. He's there because he genuinely wants to help these people. And that alone has kind of changed my own perception of paranormal investigation, because I think for so long I was interested in it for the scare factor, because I wanted to go and have an experience. Over time, that kind of shifted for me into, I don't necessarily believe X, Y, or Z, but I have to disprove it or prove it.
Yeah.
And that's not like a negative connotation. That's just my own method of thinking of why I'm doing this.
Yes.
But now that I understand more about him, or even Cindy or other mediums like the Kindred Spirits team, where they go in with these positive intentions and they have these positive experiences.
Yeah.
They may still be frightful, but that doesn't mean they're negative or malevolent in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, and they talked about that a little bit, about it's like the spirit is in a place, and if you have somebody, say, comes into your house and is super negative and just talking fucking mad shit about everything you have, and almost like calling you out, you're going to be pissed off. So you might have a negative experience, or they might just be like, yeah, fuck this guy, I'm not going to interact with him. Now,
I guess you don't want to fucking talk to me.
Does that mean that we're going to fucking stop saying that Scott is gay on fucking ghost hunts? Probably not.
No.
No.
I would think, like, if one of us stopped calling Scott gay, like we had cancer or something,
Yeah.
I'd be worried.
Yeah.
What about a negative? What do you think is his biggest negative?
I would think that the biggest negative thing was, like I say, in a lot of the things that we talk about, being super sure of one thing or another, having a definitive answer for something, which is, you're always going to find, no matter what you say, you're going to have people that write you off because they don't believe what you believe. So proposing it in a way of, is it possible, like the way the ancient aliens guys always do.
Is it possible?
Is it possible that these ancient astronauts? It's a lot more receiving, a way to propose something. It's a lot easier to digest something that's being proposed as something that's being driven as a fact.
Yeah.
That was the same thing that I was having a hard time with William Henry, with his speech that he did at Phenomenon, was he was just driving this fact of this machine that he was talking about.
Yeah.
As opposed to being like,
could it be?
This thing that they've been looking for so long, you know?
I would agree. Honestly, that was pretty much my answer too, was his rigidity and everything, because there's very few interviews you can actually find with him on YouTube, and I tried to consume as much as I could, but he's extremely sure that his method is the only method.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that, because I don't agree that any one method is the end-all be-all for everything and everyone. It doesn't work for everybody. And the same goes with not using scientific instruments. Yes, they're fallible, but that's where you have to, again, use the scientific method and create controls. He was very devout in that Ouija boards were very dangerous, which I don't agree with. But yeah, just the only negative connotation I really have for him is just his rigidity. He almost comes off arrogant, that my way is the way to do it, and this is how to help, and this is what you have to do, and it's not up for debate or challenge.
Yeah.
And so I have to disagree with that particular methodology of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like we talked about earlier, if it is a science and wants to be looked at as a science, the science has to be ever-changing, and you can get different information by using different methodologies. So, I mean, I in my mind, I think that the more stuff that you can use to try to test these things, the more evidence or proof to your own self that something is actually happening.
I agree, and every scientific claim has to stand up to scrutiny.
Yeah.
Travis Taylor said, great claims do not require great evidence, challenging that classic fact. You're absolutely right. So if you have a paranormal event and you captured a weird spike on an EMF, that's not great evidence, but it is evidence.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to stand up to the scrutiny of somebody going, how close to an outlet were you? Was your phone going off? Or did you have other electronic equipment going off nearby?
Yeah.
So it's your own method, what it is that you're using to gain the evidence that you're looking to gain. You have to be able to take criticism from it. You have to be able to open yourself up to say, maybe I'm looking at it from the wrong angle, or this person is right. I have a flawed piece of logic here. I have to fix that.
Yeah.
So you really do need to try different methods. You have to be open up to more than just the way that you know how to do it. Other than that, dude, super cool guy.
Yeah. Super interesting. I'm probably going to go buy some of his books just so I can get kind of a deeper knowledge of what he was into. A lot of his books are kind of short story, not short story, but they're not novels. So a lot of them are like 100 pages, 150 pages, paperback, quick reads. But
not the Ghost Hunter.
the Ghost Hunter is like 800 pages.
Yeah, it's like 787 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be. I have like 5 books in my Amazon cart right now, and I'm just waiting. I'm holding off to pull the trigger until I finish the book I'm currently reading.
Yeah.
But I've got the Ghost Hunter, the Paranormal Almanac, Chariot of the Gods, another book by Sitchin, and then another one by Von Daniken. Like, I'm going to be spending a lot of time this winter reading.
It's a good thing to do on a cold winter night.
Yeah, and I'm also going to have to get that book, the one that Zach Bagans just references in his book. Remember I was telling you?
Yeah.
Listening to the Zach Bagans Ghost Hunting for Dummies or whatever the fuck it's called. All it does is reference another book about ghost hunting. So that's context right there.
Maybe that's what we could do, just get some of his books and just write a book referencing all of his books.
Work for Bagans? No, I can't do that.
I'm a doctor.
I'm a doctor.
Can't fucking, what is that called?
Plagiarize
somebody else's work.
Yeah, that's lazy.
I mean, yeah, we cite a lot of people's other podcasts on this podcast, but that's different.
I just think that's peer review.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I see that system working. Where, we joked earlier on how every podcast starts by going through his history, where he's born, what his education is, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
You can just skip that whole first 15 minutes because it has nothing to do
Most of the time, it's the first half.
Yeah.
But that is important for context within the realm of what we're doing. So it is kind of a peer review system. What they're telling me is important, but it's not important for me to regurgitate.
Listen to it 15 times in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I think I listened to 8 or 10 podcasts, and it was like most of them skip. Okay, they're still going through history. Skip. Oh, cool. Last 15 minutes is about Amityville.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not hating on their podcast. You do whatever format suits you, but for me, it's not the stuff I want to talk about. We theorize and espouse opinions and things like that.
Yeah.
That's our jam.
Yeah.
If you want history,
Yeah.
plenty of other options.
There's a whole slew of podcasts about Hans Holzer's direct methods and how you can do them for yourselves, and case logs going through numbers of cases. There's even ones almost like fan commentary of the Holzer Files, the TV show. But just watch the show.
Just watch the fucking show. I got one final question for you. I know he's passed away, but if you could ask Hans Holzer one question, what would you ask?
I would probably ask him what was his most intriguing case that he worked on. Because there was some that were the most famous,
Yeah.
like the Amityville, I just had it in my head. There's a house, the Whaley house.
Yeah.
there's 4 or 5 of them that are pretty well known that a lot of people talk about, but I would like to get his opinion on which one was his most intriguing case.
I think because of my science and statistic based approach, I would ask him how many of the cases that you've investigated were 100% bullshit. Just because I think his case number was somewhere like 120 or something. I heard that number. I don't know how true it is. But I'm curious for a percentage of how many of those he went to and investigated and was like, these guys are full of shit.
Yeah. Well, there was I know that he talked about how a lot of times people just misunderstood what was going on at their house and it wasn't really haunted. And there's actually an episode of the Leonard Nimoy show, what was it called?
In Search of?
In Search of, where they went with him to go do an investigation. And they go to this house and they do the walkthrough, and they're there for like an hour or something. Of course, it's shortened on the show, on videotape, but he just says, yeah, there's nothing here.
Mm-hmm.
And so they leave and go to a different location.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that happens. I would think it probably happens all the time.
I would think so. So yeah, I think we solved it.
Yeah.
Hans Holzer, the legit OG ghost hunter.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I can see why they're not making a bunch of movies off of cases that he did, and the ones that they are kind of off the script of what he believed. But
well, I mean,
demons sell, I guess.
Demons, scary sells.
Yeah.
And that is kind of a travesty to me that he's not propelled to a higher status within the paranormal field, but the charlatans are. But that's the same with every field. I mean, nobody talks about like managers at work like they're the good guys, yeah, but you still talk about them.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way these things work. Like, think about actors. The best actors are not the most popular ones.
True.
It's the ones that can sell movies because they're an actor in their own life.
Yeah.
You know, Daniel Day-Lewis is not worth the same amount of money that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
But
you're saying Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson isn't a great actor?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Seems like a cool dude. I would never take that away from him. Seems like a very nice guy, but he's not a great actor.
Yeah.
And now that he's off the juice, he's going to get a lot less acting.
Yeah, you could play like Squidward or something in a live-action SpongeBob movie.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad we could actually talk about this and do our tiny little part to put Hans Holzer just a little bit higher up than he deserves.
That's one thing interesting. Last thing about him was that he said that anywhere that he went, he was never scared of the paranormal activity that he was encountering because he didn't believe in demons. He didn't believe in evil spirits. He said that evil that happens in this world is caused by humans, not by spirits. And there are people who do evil acts, and that's a personal choice rather than an evil spirit. And so he said maybe that's why he wasn't as popular, because he said he was never scared of anything paranormal because it's just human spirits that need help.
He was not a bullshit artist.
Nope.
And I 100% agree and really enjoy that take of his. Because he's right. Demons don't take over our bodies and make us do shit. We just do shit. Yeah, I think the only demon that enters your body that makes you do shit you wouldn't do otherwise is drugs and alcohol.
And that you know, some of these cases, like the Amityville case where he kind of went crazy, DeFeo Jr. went crazy, and they said that he was a drug addict for quite a while.
He was. Even that, the case that Ed and Lorraine Warren took over, where it was the first time demon possession was used as an excuse in court.
The devil made me do
The
it.
devil made me do it. That kid was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And he was just a jealous, domestic violence driven boyfriend.
Yeah.
That he was a drunk. That's what it is.
Evil people do evil shit.
It's true.
Well,
Solved it. Doctor. Anyway, that's enough for Hans Holzer. We're going to talk about some more stuff here soon. We're going to follow up on this kind of sub-series with some other paranormal figureheads coming soon.
spooky season, so
Spooky season, perfect time to do these. Perfect time to tell the public that some of these people are just pure horseshit.
yeah, demystify the mysterious.
Just take them down a peg.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.